All right, now speaking of Diddy, let's talk about him. So yeah, there's a lot going on with the diddler. And yesterday was day two of his trial. They're assimilating the jury like the new Avengers. And it's slowly getting together because they said there's so many landmines that are getting people tossed from being on the jury of 12 with the two alternates. So now, according to USA Today, because it's lengthy, so we got to go through this. Now, potential jurors were questioned for a second day in the Diddler Combs's sweeping federal crimes trial, a high-profile case with ties across the entertainment industry that's expected to stretch on for months. Now, jurors on May 6th were repeatedly asked if they, a family member, or a friend had been a victim of SA, sexual harassment, or DV, and whether they or a loved one had been charged or accused of such crimes. Well, that's going to definitely cut down a lot of the people, because who in these day and age hasn't known a family member or if they have been assaulted? Like, it happens a lot more than people think. Because I guess they feel like they will be biased in a sort of way. Like, yeah, if you've been a victim of SA, then you can't be in a trial because you're going to probably see your abuser in Diddy. Now, one question was particularly interesting for some, saying, quote, have you communicated to others, posted your opinion on social media or online, or liked any social media posts about Mr. Combs? Well, who hasn't? If so, when or where did you post or state your opinion? And who the hell's going to remember that? Now, as the case continues, prosecutors also ask potential jurors about their feelings on law enforcement and experiences with the government. I guess you ain't getting no black people in your damn trial, because if you got to ask a question about your feelings about law enforcement and the government and how they treat people of color, he probably gonna have an all-white damn jury. But anyway, now it says Combs' team wants potential jurors to describe the music they like and their opinions about the hip-hop and rap music industry. The defense team proposed questionnaire also suggested they want to know if jurors are open-minded to alternative sexual lifestyles, because you have to be if you're going to be talking about the diddler, because we all know he wasn't just sticking his peen in no poon. He was sticking it in bussy too, allegedly. The word on the curb for years was that Diddy was, how you doing? I mean, Wendy Williams always spilled that tea, and I would hear stories about him too, and other rappers. That's not on trial, so we're not going to talk about. Damn, I was about to reveal one too. But anyway, let's move on. So jurors had been questioned one by one by Judge Aaron Submaranian. I wonder if with that name, are they Armenian? The prosecution and defense to determine whether they're qualified to serve in Combs's jury, or on his jury, sorry. Now, during the final pretrial hearing on May 2nd, Combs confirmed that he turned down a potential plea deal, because I guess he feels like he's so confident that he's going to win, like he's gotten a slither out of this, like he slithered out of all his other high-profile cases. The Pow and the guy Shine sent to jail for 10 years, and the one with the stampede that happened at the Stampede trial that happened at the basketball game, which I did reveal that from Lauren LaRosa over at the Breakfast Club. She revealed, and I'm saying this again because the video that I did on it yesterday got messed up because the damn internet was acting a goddamn fool. But Lauren LaRosa from the Breakfast Club said she went down there on day one, and there was a guy who was one of the potential jurors he wasn't picked, but he was questioned, and come to find out that his wife, I don't know if it was his wife or his ex-wife, but someone, let's go for shits and giggles, it was his wife. She basically found out that he was a part of the whole Diddy situation as one of the potential jurors, and they found out that his wife was one of the legal eagles or whatever on the legal team against the whole Diddy situation in regards to the whole basketball stampede situation, where a lot of people happened to pass away from the overcrowding and stuff, and said that she hated him. That was her word. She hates Diddy. So I don't think they was going to put him on there, because they would probably feel like there's potential bias. Now, just because I'm fucking the lady that hates you don't necessarily mean that I'm not going to listen with an open mind. But I guess they want to dot every I and cross every T, and don't want to take that risk and have somebody on there that could potentially send him to jail, even though there's enough evidence, in my opinion, especially what he did to Cassie. That means that, yeah, they need to lock his ass up forever. Forever, ever, forever. Mm-hmm. So now, A judge previously rejected a request from the rapper's legal team to delay the start of the trial. Now, Combs could spend the rest of his life in prison if he's convicted. By the end of court proceedings on May 6, 39 prospective jurors had faced questions, with 16 moving forward in the process, including 10 men and 6 women. Their ages range from 38 to 87. Damn, they ain't picking no Gen Zers. 38 to 87, and the occupations included an American Airlines pilot, a social worker, a kitchen designer, a physician, a lawyer, a manager, an agent, and a chef. The nanny's an assistant and a driver and a jet. I'm kidding with that. But it goes with the physician assistant and more. Now, 3 mentioned liking hip hop music. Some of the group said they get their news from New York Times and the NBC, while others cited YouTube and other social media platforms. Well, yeah, these days everybody get their shit from YouTube. Now, one of the jurors who faced the longest questioning was a man who told the court he had multiple run-ins with police in his early teens and 20s, including what he described as stop and frisk incidents and one instance of assaulting a police officer. Prosecutors said the man could struggle to be unbiased after negative experiences with police, but Combs' defense argued that he's now 38 and has grown and changed. The man said he works in New York's transit department and that he often interacts with law enforcement in his role. The judge ruled that he could move forward without a bias toward police. Another man, a pilot for American Airlines, said he was worried about being biased against Combs, but was not concerned about law enforcement. The music and, well, sorry, quote, the music in LA lifestyle is very different than how I was brought up, he said, describing details he had previously heard about the allegations against Combs. You can't unring the bell. I can't unhear something I've heard. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like they're all going to be doing it. Like, who hasn't heard or seen the news or in some way may have been indoctrinated or influenced by what they've been hearing in the media, especially when the media can be very biased depending on the type of subject matter, especially when it comes to black folks or black people in hip hop. The way that the media covers it, especially white mainstream media, the way they cover it, it's very different than, say, like the Breakfast Club, the Neighborhood Talk, the Shade Room, and all those other type of conglomerates would talk about. Or could we even say TMZ versus TMZ Hip Hop Edition? I mean, I feel like TMZ is the same thing, regardless of what side of the coin you flip it. Now, one potential juror was dismissed after sharing that he was arrested 7 years ago for possession of the Mary Jane, saying, quote, if I asked you not to smoke marijuana during the trial, would that be hard for you? This is what Submarinian asked. The man responded that would be difficult request for the case, and the last time he used weed, well, he smoked weed, I will say, I'm changing it up because they talking about use marijuana. He said he smoked the night before. Now, after the man was dismissed and left the proceedings, Combs' defense joked in the courtroom that jurors shouldn't use marijuana during the trial. Now, Nicole Westmoreland of Westmoreland Law LLC is the latest lawyer to join Combs' legal team after filing a notice of attorney appearance with the court on May 6th. Now, Combs' defense team was already led by attorneys Mark Agnafilo and Tenny Garagos. Both are founding partners of Agnafilo and Trader. Garagos is particularly experienced in defending and investigating allegations of sexual misconduct, according to the firm's website. Now, Brian Steele, who represented Young Thug in the rapper's RICO trial, is also working with Combs, as are attorneys Alexandra Shapiro, Xavier R. Donaldson, Anna Maria Estevao, and Jason Driscoll, sorry. Now, several potential jurors have told the court that they've seen the much talked about video that allegedly shows Combs beating, kicking, and dragging his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, fine. Well, who hasn't seen that video? So that's why I'm like, they don't want to admit it. I think that's why they don't want to admit it in court. So yeah, we got to show this one because I think this is a guy who was actually in the courtroom that Lauren LaRosa talked about. I don't know if this is him or what, because she said he had a shirt on, but this is a hoodie. So now they got free puff shirts and hoodies going around. So now y'all out here selling merch, which sounds typical Americana. That we gonna when all else fails, let's sell some merch. And he looked like he would be the type that be at a damn Diddy party. But she said she did mention there was a guy that had a free puff shirt on, and they told him to turn it inside out when he was in there. So Brian Steele, I mentioned it. So now they said several potential jurors have told the court that they've seen the video like I said, who would not be influenced by that? Because it was all over CNN, it was all over MSNBC. They was even showing it on the regular news, like Eyewitness News and NBC News and CBS News. All the major news was showing it. So you'd have to be living in a cave, or you'd have to be Helen Keller to be able to not have seen or heard what went on with that video. So now they said well, we don't need to go through the video because we already know what all that is. Oh, now I just want to get to the rest of the juror breakdown. So, they were trying to get rid of the video, but the judge said no, we're gonna actually we're gonna allow the video to be shown in court. We'll see if it actually goes through, if they need to use it. But yeah. So now they said, as the case broke for lunch, 6 potential jurors were selected to move forward out of the 15 questioned. The other 9 individuals were dismissed from the pool. Now, several of those individuals don't speak fluent English or had medical concerns over sitting on a jury, but others were struck for potentially being biased towards Combs. Now, one woman from the jury pool admitted that due to her Catholic upbringing, she feels a lot of guilt and it comes with being Catholic, sis. You're going to feel guilt regardless. And she said she had general anxiety taking on a case like this, saying, quote, to me, you have the life of somebody in your hands. That's very difficult for me, but I think I could do it. But then again, you have so many so-called Christians out here that's all for the death penalty. I'm not saying that that's her, but it's a little hypocritical, but whatever. So they said still prosecutors will go on to express doubt over the woman's ability to concentrate during the trial due to her health issues. She had told the judge that due to stomach issues, she may require multiple bathroom breaks during the trial. Well, we don't need nobody that got to keep shitting. Sorry, like if you got like loose booty or what they call that, irritable bowel syndrome, Miss Mamas, if you're dealing with that, no, you need to keep your ass home. I don't need you on my trial because then excuse me, you're gonna miss so much. It's not like going to the movies where it's like you can watch the movie again when it pop up on the streaming service. Like if you're in the courtroom until the judge say, okay, we adjourn, you stuck. So get all your bathroom stuff out and deal with it. Because I remember I sat on a jury and I was juror number 1. And there's a lot that you talking about you can't send nobody away. Juror number 1 got to deliver the verdict. Hello, I had to do that. So, sis, you can vote whichever way how you got to vote. But if you ain't juror number 1, you ain't really the one that got to be stressed out, holding the fate of somebody the fate of someone's life in your hands. So now the search for an unbiased jury continued. Good luck with that, as lawyers on each side attempted to weed out candidates who knew too much about the case. Well, that's why I said you got to find somebody who don't understand not a fan of hip hop, deaf, dumb, and blind. Well, let's take the dumb out. Deaf and blind. You got to find you a bunch of Helen Kellers who aren't really familiar with this case. Prosecutors argued the decision to show an inability to follow instructions. Wait, hold on. That's a potential jurors were asked, because I skipped over something, asked via questionnaire whether they had read about the case, and one was dismissed after revealing he had read a USA Today article about the selection process on May 5th, saying he knew he shouldn't have clicked the link. He admitted he did anyway and spent a few minutes reading. Prosecutors argued the decision showed an inability to follow instructions. He was struck from the pool. I feel like y'all just don't be realizing y'all be telling on yourselves without telling on yourselves. The first potential juror questioned before the court shortly after 10 a.m. said she experienced an attempted R-word 3 years ago by a stranger. She criticized law enforcement's response to the attack, saying cops could have done a whole lot more. Well, if that's a fact, then why you getting mad at me for pointing that out? It's like y'all could have did a whole lot better. So now they feel like, oh, that's gonna be biased against the damn police. Well, if the police was doing their goddamn job, she wouldn't have to feel the way she felt. So, excuse me. The woman said that she believes she could still be unbiased in the sex crimes trial. However, the judge pointed out in her questionnaire that she wrote, quote, P. Diddy has a lot of money at his discretion, possibly to buy his way out of jail. The potential juror was struck for cause shortly after. I'm like, y'all don't be realizing what y'all be writing. Combs will argue at his sex trafficking trial that women who took part in his elaborate sex parties did so willingly, but his lawyers will face an uphill battle trying to undermine the credibility of accusers who say the hip-hop mogul forced them to participate. Prosecutors with the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office said that for 2 decades, he used his business empire to lure women into his orbit with promises of romantic relationships or financial support, and then use violence and threats to obliterate them to take part in days-long drug-fueled sexual performances known as freak-offs with male sex workers. Saying, quote, "The defendants have quite an uphill battle ahead." This is what Heather Cucolo, the New York Law School professor, said. There was a clear power dynamic, and the power dynamic is going to be a main focus and a main issue. Absolutely. And that's why I said, like, we were just literally talking about that with Smokey Robinson. It's like when people say, "Oh, how that man gonna force you to do it?" I said, it's a rape is not about sex. It's about power. Diddy has always had this habit of flexing his power, whether it was during his freak offs or in the boardroom. He was always about flexing his power and letting everyone know who was in charge of the girls. He was in charge of the girls. So that's what people need to realize instead of thinking that, oh, it was about getting off. I mean, he probably did get off on the fact that he had power over these people, but rape is never about pleasure. It's always about power. So they said that how was the jury selection process working? They said lawyers previously said they plan to question as so many as 150 potential jurors, with each questionnaire lasting 20 to 30 minutes. Now, on May 5th, some Iranian deemed 19 qualified to serve. So yeah, they're whittling it down, and they brought up a bunch of other celebrities and stuff too, including Michael B. Jordan, Kid Cudi, Cassie, Michelle Williams, Mike Myers, Dallas Austin, Lauren London, and Dawn Richard. Now, the list who is a who's who of Hollywood music elite paints a picture of Combs' far-reaching influence in the music, the entertainment industry, as we'll say in general. So that's what people wanted to know is like if you're familiar with any of these people. And there was one woman who Lauren LaRosa mentioned that said that she recognized because one of the names on the list also was Lorianne Gibson, who was a choreographer. She did choreography for Diddy regarding like I don't know if she did like Total and the other people that was a part of the thing, but we know her mostly from excuse me, making a band with Diddy Kane, Day 26, Donnie Klang, all of them. And then after that, the Diddy gets fired her. She went over and started choreographing for other people, including Lady Gaga during the beginning of her career. So and then I guess they brought the bias in because allegedly Diddy had beef with Michael B. Jordan, who dated Cassie back in 2015. And then there was a story that came out about Kid Cudi, where allegedly Diddy went and threatened to blow up Cudi's car because Kid Cudi and Cassie were briefly involved romantically. So there's clearly an obsession with Diddy, feeling like if I can't have you, nobody will. I own you. Like he literally treats women like they're his property. Even though I do feel like a lot of this stems from there's some deep rooted issues that he's had with trying to navigate his sexual fluidity, especially in the overall homophobic hip hop industry. So yeah, there's that in regards to that story. And so I'm gonna have to cut all this up because this topic is literally too long as it is. So I do have more Diddy news that I'm gonna get to in a second. But yes, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you think of this story regarding the Diddy jury selection and all the dotting the I's and crossing all the T's in regards to this story and that whole situation? So they not playing. Like I guess because this is a federal case and this is determining whether or not he's gonna spend the rest of his life in prison. I can definitely see like why they're doing all of this. So yeah, I definitely want to hear from y'all. So let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below.